Neighbor thinks I breed rats in my greenhouse. I've lived in the house I own with my husband for 12 years. It's a terrace built in the 1860s with lots of things like coal chutes and cellars that undercut other people's properties. We live near farmland and were told when we bought it that rats were in the area and to keep a good supply of rat wire to keep them out. There has never been any sign that there have been rats in our house, but we know others have had problems. Onto the weirdness. My neighbor and I were on decent terms until he decided not to be and called the council on us for having a compost bin, the water company for something that was found to be his fault. They ruined my 40th birthday by constantly calling round, and he tried to call the police because I laughed at another neighbor calling him a bellend. He threw a fit when we decided we would no longer communicate with him unless absolutely necessary. So he started claiming to anyone who would listen that I trap and breed rats in my greenhouse. He loudly told an exterminator he'd called after seeing one whole rat in my garden and I was amused and appalled. I found out when having a casual chat with another neighbor at the bus stop that he's been making these claims for over a year and then heard it again from the man himself telling someone else. Not once has he mentioned it to us, and he will use any excuse to try to get us to talk to him. The exterminator was adamant that if I was breeding and keeping rats in a 3 by 2 meter greenhouse then the smell and the noise would be unbearable, but the neighbor is undeterred from his delusion. His partner has been in my greenhouse when I showed her my tomato plants and asked if she wanted the excess crop, so she has been trying to tell him that he's delusional too. We've installed cameras in case he tries to take matters into his own hands to prove I am the rat queen, and have been loudly talking about how ridiculous this situation is in his earshot. We know he has issues and has fixated on me as a malign force, another reason for the cameras. We are compiling a spreadsheet of his odd and harassing behavior over the years. I know I'm not breeding rats and do not fear anything he tries to do, but wanted to tell internet strangers to get it off my chest and in the hope that someone will find it amusing. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, I hope you have a stout fence or wall around your property to deter him and act as a definitive boundary so that if he does trespass it's obvious. It's his fence and we're in the UK where trespass is usually considered a minor civil matter. It's also in the front garden so fences can't be very high. Commenter 2, I'm sorry if you've gotten flack for this, but it's too funny. I'm petty, I take up to playing the flute around the yard. The man is a tit. I'm taking a slow, horticultural revenge by blocking his view of us with tall, spiky, highly scented plants and ensuring that if he wants to talk to us it's entirely on camera. Given the proximity of other neighbors I can't take loud revenge. Does other neighbors believe him at all regarding the rats? No one believes him so he doubles down. We have each other's numbers and compare notes. Does the neighbor's partner believe him at all about anything going on at the greenhouse? We like his partner, not wife despite their 20-odd-year relationship. In happier times they ate very well from my garden and greenhouse onions, peppers, chilies, cucumbers and tomatoes. Can get in touch with services in their area regarding the neighbor and the possibility of him having mental health issues or dementia? He's under 50 and adult social care are powerless unless he's arrested or self-surrenders. I've reported and it will lie on file if things escalate. Very difficult to get someone seen by mental health people in the UK if they don't want to. He'd have to be arrested or considered a threat to himself and others for an assessment against his will. Delusions of rat breeding neighbors don't meet the criteria if he's only talking about it. Update 1, hi all. Thoroughly enjoyed the comments on my last post and thought I'd give you a quick update. Just to remind everyone that I'm in the UK. This morning I got a letter from the council's environmental health department to say that my garden was infested with rats and that I had to take immediate action. So I did. I called the extermination company to ask for a statement that there are no rats in my garden or greenhouse. They are happy to oblige. I spoke to all my nice neighbors and they are also happy to vouch that they have seen no evidence of an infestation and find the rat breeding story both bizarre and hilarious. I wrote a very polite and detailed email to the named contact at the council to say, paraphrased of course, that this is the work of a colossal prick and I am considering suing him for malicious complaint, harassment and slander. Also, that I cannot take immediate action to remove an infestation I do not have and would like to know how they came to the conclusion that there is a problem if no one from the council has been round to look. We know the prick next door wants to annoy us into moving but sorry, we're going nowhere. Edit, the extermination company have sent the statement. I called the council but the named contact is on annual leave until after the deadline I was given to contact them. Relevant comments. Does other neighbors have issues with him? No one wants to talk to him at all. He's alienated every single neighbor and calls us a malign force who are out to get him. This is his way of trying to find a bogeyman and prove that he's an amazing man for drawing attention to unneighborly behavior. The council had to respond, though I have raised a concern with them that no one actually came round to look. If he'd kept his delusions to himself, we wouldn't now be looking to sue him for harassment, as this is one of many times he's called in other bodies for our perceived bad behavior, and each time he's proven wrong. Op responds on the neighbor's strange behaviors. Op, not a mental health professional, but we suspect he is either bipolar or a narcissist or both. Leaning towards both. He's in his 40s and is open about his recreational pill use in the past. We're his obsession, as he thinks we had a malign force that's out to get him. But yes, he is a wanker. His partner wouldn't disagree, and no one thinks she'll stick around once the youngest turns 18 in about a year. It's his house. Until recently, his partner and kids weren't allowed to have a key or be in the house when he wasn't there. I could write for days about his controlling behavior. Has the neighbor done similar things to other people in the neighborhood? He managed to get the other side to move, so feels emboldened. They didn't want to but have kids and dogs and were scared of what he might do to them. I hope the new owners will be able to stand against him. We know he escalates and have been waiting for the next one. So far, rats aside, he has called the council on us for having a compost bin, trampled my tomatoes, tried to get myself and the moving neighbors arrested for him being called a bellend. Neighbor said it and I laughed. Sent the water company to ours for a problem he had with his taps, allowed workmen to use our property as an access point for his roofing work, refused to apologize when these workmen damaged our yard, blamed us for damp and woodworm in his cellar, played music at over 90 decibels, complained that we are causing various smells, accused us of smoking weed, he does, we don't, and called round at all times for a chat. Cameras have stopped the chats as he fears any recording as it cuts off his gaslighting attempts. I have all this noted in a spreadsheet. He is still desperate for us to pay him any attention, good or bad, and hates that his attempts to isolate us from other neighbors have failed. In fact, it's made us closer. Update 2, short update to say this may go quiet for a while as I have called the police and will be making a statement tomorrow. I wasn't sure that this route was appropriate, but I've taken some legal advice and it has reassured me that I need to do this to protect myself and my peace. I also told this story in my local and they were supportively outraged and also advised that they would absolutely call the police if they were in my position. I've spent quite some time researching UK laws on stalking and harassment, burdens of proof and the average person argument. It basically says if an average person would be concerned by this person's behavior towards them, then it meets the criteria. Fascinating stuff. I'm also now half and half about whether the letter from the council is legit, as it is riddled with errors and inconsistencies with extremely vague detail for key points. The kind where the Microsoft grammar check would tell you off for using the passive voice. I'll find out tomorrow, though if it is legit I'll have to stop myself from telling them it seems to have all the quality markers of a text from HMRC, that's the tax office for non-UK friends, telling you to pay thousands in unpaid tax in iTunes cards. If it isn't, then I'm adding fraud for the purpose of causing distress to the list of complaints. Wish me luck, guys. Might be a while, but I'll see you on the other side and maybe have that rat party. Please bring your rat costumes, extra long tails dress code, and a delicacy cheese from your country. Edit, council letter was legit, but the person who handled the case had been moved from another area and this was her first assignment. A long litany of failures, but upshot is that I have been cleared and there is no case to answer. I mentioned that a 2-minute conversation with their guy would have avoided all this malarkey and apologies were made. That bit is done. Police matter is ongoing. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, if the letter is not legit you should also tell the council about it. I believe that this is a crime in the UK. As for your ratatouille crazy neighbor, good luck on that. I am bringing a whole tray of cheese from France at your party. It is a crime and the council take a very dim view. Prosecution would be out of my hands for that one. Commenter 2, if it was in your mail, they might be able to tack on wire fraud and messing with the post office, or if he placed it in your box himself, more issues, as, at least in the USA, placing anything that doesn't have a stamp on it in a mailbox is also a big issue. We don't generally have mailboxes as mail, or post as we call it, goes through the letterbox. Most post doesn't have a stamp on as it's local crap or part of Royal Mail sponsors junk mail that gets delivered whether you want it or not. Update 3, hi all. You may know me as the one who was accused of breeding rats in the greenhouse by a rather odd neighbor. Suggestions were made for a rat party and I responded that it sounded great and that people should bring a specialty cheese from their home country. I'm from the UK where many think our food is generally awful. It's not, by the way, but our cheese is great. I thought it might be nice to share our love of cheese and accompanying things from areas around the world. My favorites, UK only, though I love many other cheeses, Lancashire, Caerphilly, Red Leicester, White Stilton, try with rich fruitcake or a mince pie, you will not regret it, black pepper cheddar. Until I can update about the harassment case, this may be my only outlet. Update 4, a quick update but with a very low amount of rat-related activity. The neighbor has had a camera installed above his front door. He is perfectly within his rights to do so. This has coincided with him not instantly appearing in the doorway whenever I am in the garden, so it's a given that his camera is recording my garden. I have added this to the police complaint as something to investigate, but was thrilled to know that 2 of my other neighbors have filed complaints to the council about it, as it's a wide-angle one and could potentially be recording their kids and/or seeing through their windows. Once recording kids is involved, the council have to act quickly. We have blackout zones on our cameras and have shown these to our neighbors, except him, even though his garden is the biggest blackout zone. I'm sure he'll plead that we're watching him, but, again, the evidence is on our side. We're unsure if he wants to record to be just an interfering knob or if his delusions are so bad that he needs to prove somehow that the rat breeding really is happening. Anything he records is inadmissible if it's of our property. Couple of things from comments. 1. Neighbor and his partner are not married. He refuses to marry her for many reasons that are not my story to tell but are part of his control at all costs agenda. She hates being referred to as girlfriend or wife, so I will respect that. 2. The council is local government and not any kind of HOA. Most of the UK would consider an HOA as a massive overreach and invasive to the extreme. Being told to control infestations, even if you don't have them, is fine compared to being told that your grass is 0.000067 inches too long or that your door is the wrong shade of woodland green. I know they're not all awful, but Reddit is the place for horror stories. 3. Horticultural revenge is a glorified way of saying I'm planting a hedge. This hedge will be a glorious array of colors and scents designed to be highly attractive to insects and birds whilst also being tall and thorny. Fences can't be very high, but there is no legal limit to plant height and no right to light laws. He can only prune what grows over the fence. Update 5. Hi all. Some have asked for an update, so here it is. Apologies that it won't contain much as he's gone pretty quiet. Since the cameras were installed, he has stopped popping round for a chat or loitering in places he can see us. He's still annoying us by stomping around his house and the occasional short blast of crappy music, but these are fewer and further apart. I know he overheard both conversations I had with the police, and I think it's unsettled him into not exactly being a great neighbor, but not being as much of a creepy invasive bastard. His partner seems to be taking a role in managing him. Other neighbors have also noticed that she's around more, and he isn't trying to insert himself into their business as much. There were a few conversations we could hear through the walls, he's very loud, that seemed to confirm this. The slow horticultural revenge is going well. Spring is just around the corner and my plants are starting to show signs of life. I still feel the need to garden when he's not around, unless I'm in the still rat-free greenhouse, but it seems he now feels the same about me. He stopped trying to take photos of the greenhouse when he saw me watching him, and I put a small sign up reminding him that taking pictures of private property under these circumstances is illegal. Any photo he took and tried to use against us would have this visible. I debated decorating it with a rat but decided against it. He's not happy that the bird feeders are back, but can't do anything as they now have reinforced waste catchers, and as his last complaint wasn't upheld, he is on thin ice about this with the powers that be. Someone else made a complaint about his camera, but I don't know if that came to anything as it's still there. Whether it's attached to anything is another matter, as he's generally inept with technology. We're planning a retractable awning for the front of the house. Windows are full east, so the living room gets really hot in summer, and once that's installed and the plants are grown and in bloom, it will cut off any view of us. I checked fence planning laws and it seems nearly everyone on our street is breaking them, but we need to be squeaky clean or it'll be another council letter. Maybe by summer he'll be back to his old ways, but he seems a little chastened. You never know, maybe he's read my posts, recognized himself and realized that not only is he a colossal prick, but that I can prove it and will. The police case is ongoing, but as he's backed off it will just chug along in the background unless he crosses the line again. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, what a strange tale. Do you think he has some mental health issues? Perhaps dementia or some sort of nervous break? It seems suspect that he went from being friendly to full-blown douche. Hopefully for your sake he stays quiet. He changed as soon as we said no to him. He escalated, lost and keeps doubling down and losing again and again. We know he did a lot of pills in the past and even his dad thinks he's weird. He's a douche to his dad too. Commenter 2, how old is the guy? I was reading this thinking he was elderly and perhaps senile, but you mentioning his father makes it seem like he might be younger. What exactly did you say no to? I didn't catch that in your posts. Ah, we didn't move the compost bin the second he asked us to. Annoyingly, we had consulted him about the initial position, but he suddenly took issue after about 18 months. Commenter 3, if you're holding your breath waiting for any modicum of self-awareness on his part, then I'm afraid you're in for an untimely end. I do love the idea of horticultural revenge though. Hopefully there'll be many small furry critters and birds in your garden this year to keep him busy monitoring. Op. I'm not really, just hopeful that his very sensible partner is reining in the worst of his behavior. The horticultural revenge has been added to today with the addition of fast-growing, highly scented flowering annuals that I know grow well in my garden and reach dizzying heights and displays. Commenter 4, the sign that would show up in photos was a very good idea. I'm interested in this catchment for your bird feeders. My mom lives near a creek and the rats are such a problem she can't have bird feeders anymore, even though she had so many morning dives they cleaned any seeds that fell. Look into a product called Gila Heat Control Film. It's not shiny/reflective or anything weird looking from either side of the window. You apply with glass cleaner on a clean window. We've put it up in several rooms in our house that get direct sun, and it has made the feeling in the room like 5 to 10 degrees cooler. We have a retractable awning over a sliding glass door in the one room with a high ceiling and no option for a ceiling fan, but we only have to open it about 3.5 feet, so we still feel like we get nice light in the room. But the smaller rooms and even the top of a window box that was feeling like a parabolic mirror standing in a certain spot in the kitchen. If you have double-paned windows you do need to install it on the exterior to not interfere with the window's function, and it lasts about 3 years there for us before it's less clear. Enjoy your gardening this year. I got my seed catchers online and they're under specialist feeders that block large birds, so spillage is minimal anyway. It just gives them less ammunition if I actively block feeding the big birds that can empty a feeder in seconds. We have the heat control film, but our old windows don't allow for great adhesion. Plus we have a legitimate reason to further physically block his view from multiple angles if we go for the awning, and it will make a nice outdoor seating area. I've had a lovely day gardening today. Started lots of tall fast-growing annual plants to weave amongst the shrubs and bushes, and I hope the birds, bees and butterflies appreciate the poppies, nasturtiums, honeysuckle and sweet peas.